As I began to wrap up the book, there were a few different profiles that didn't quite make the 3 Rainmakers profile, but they're worth a mention for sure. And so one of those is the lifestylist. The lifestylist is someone who may sell real estate, but they never let that really get in the way of their life schedule. They want to enjoy the flexibility and freedom of their schedule without being so concerned about volume. In fact, one of my good friends is a top performer in real estate. He read the book and he told me that he's a lifestylist. He said, I read that book and it really kind of dawned on me that I could actually increase my real estate sales, but I would lose satisfaction with my career. I like what I'm selling right now because I get to have freedom and flexibility in my schedule, and I like the way that makes me feel. If I felt confined to a certain schedule because of my sales volume and what all I had going on, then I think I would lose satisfaction with real estate. For the lifestylist, I've got some great tips. First of all, make sure you stay involved enough on social media. Make sure that you stay present and you are consistently, and maybe even use automated marketing to make sure that people know that you sell real estate, and you do that. One of the biggest mistakes for a lifestylist is they don't have consistent or automated marketing. And when they don't, people forget they sell real estate and they may move on to the next agent. Make sure people know that you're continuing to sell real estate even though you're enjoying that freedom of your flexible schedule. Some lifestylists may actually even be part-time agents. They may just work real estate some, and that's not their main thing, or they may have another job altogether. In fact, I started off as a part-time agent. My brokerage, I love part-time agents. And the reason is because I was very successful as a part-time agent. And I think this is a career that a lot of people need to start part-time before they jump out cold turkey into this career and leave another one. I remember being in a meeting of realtors, and everybody was together. It was kind of an orientation there, and we're going down a line and all saying kind of what careers we've been doing, what brought us to real estate. And I kind of ended my little introduction to the group by saying, but I'm still a psychology professor because that's what puts food on the table. When I sat down, one of the high-ranking people in that meeting stood up and said, what we don't need is a bunch of part-timers because this is what puts food, the only way we can put food on our table. I felt a little embarrassed, but he also ticked me off. And so over the course of the next 2 years, I tripled his production while he was a full-time agent and I was working another full-time job. The truth is, a part-timer can actually sell a lot of real estate. So if you're a lifestylist or a part-time agent, don't be afraid to get involved in real estate. And there's a certain set of systems and skills that you can actually develop. You can learn about them in this book that help you be successful even as a part-timer or a lifestylist. If you don't have a huge social network or you're not a high roller, one of the things I want to recommend is what's called small pond marketing. Now, I'm not sure exactly where I stole that from. I think it was from Malcolm Gladwell. And so Malcolm Gladwell, I'm a big Malcolm Gladwell junkie. And so if you've ever read David and Goliath or Outliers or The Tipping Point, these are just great books that you can read, that not only great books to read, but great business implications and great things you can take regarding your marketing from them. One of the things he talks about in David and Goliath is this idea of, if you are a fish in a giant ocean, there's a lot of bigger fish out there. What about the theory of getting into a small pond where you can be one of the bigger fish? So I do a lot of small pond marketing. I would definitely encourage you, if you're a lifestylist or a part-time agent, think about small pond marketing. What that means is you don't have to be all over television, radio, all of these things. You just need to be very present in the spheres that you're in. And so, for instance, if you're going to have a kiddo on a Little League team, sponsor that Little League team. Bring Capri Suns and orange slices and make sure they've got a bag and it's got your marketing on it. Don't worry so much about marketing to all the other places. Market to the people who are in your traffic patterns. With small pond marketing, I always think about this quote. Now, I'm not sure if I heard it from an ancient Chinese proverb or if I got it out of a fortune cookie. I can't find it anywhere. I've Googled it. But basically the phrase goes, a cat is a lion in tall grass. And it's all about perspective. With small pond marketing, find a place where you can be the big cat. So it may just be tall grass to others, but you're the big cat there. If you're a lifestylist and you're only doing a few transactions a year, I do want to issue a word of caution. You need to make sure you remain very much in the trends and in the rhythms of the real estate market. And you also need to make sure you stay competent with your paperwork so that you can well represent your clients. The worst thing that could happen is you only do 2 or 3 transactions a year, and because you're not competent with paperwork or what's happening in the market, you lose your client money or you lose their trust. So I like to use the document, a right to terminate due to appraisal. I like to talk about that a lot because a lot of agents who don't work a lot of transactions aren't very competent with that form, and that form can cost your client thousands of dollars and honestly can cost you a relationship, or it could cost you an investigation down the road. And so if you don't feel like you can fill out the paperwork correctly and represent your client competently, it may be time to either boost up your level of education or consider stepping out of this career. When I came up with the 3 Rainmakers profiles, I really wanted to focus on the people that it just seems to come easier, and it's almost like a surefire recipe for success. There were some people that I specifically left out. In fact, I left out one profile I like to call the expert. The expert is the agent that goes to every single training offered. They're reading every real estate book. They can do their forms better than anybody else. But if you'll look closely at your license, you're a real estate sales agent. If you can do the contracts really well, but you're not actually selling real estate and you don't know people to sell real estate to, being an expert in contracts isn't going to help you at all. For the expert, I might encourage you to study the socialite profile or study the grinder profile or the high roller profile and integrate that into what you're doing. Worst case scenario, join up with a Rainmaker on a team, help them be wildly successful, and that way you're earning both of you a lot of money using your skills. Another missing person in the book is the creative. The creative is the person who designs and makes everything look beautiful, but maybe they don't know a lot of people, or maybe they don't actually get out and meet people. They're much more comfortable making something look pretty and doing it on social media, or in their designs, maybe they've got the best logo out there. I call them the creative. Sometimes I get really worried about the creative in any industry. The truth is God gave you some strengths or some talents. I remember growing up, I grew up out in the middle of the country, but one of the houses that was within a few miles from me just happened to be this man who would grow to become a very well-recognized, famous artist. And I was best friends with his son. So Michael and I are in the kindergarten together, and our teacher asks us to draw, we have free draw time. I would look over at Michael's page, and it was like, he should call him Michelangelo. I mean, it was like perfect. The teacher would walk by and give him a pat on the back, talk about how wonderful it was. And then for me, would look over and say, "Oh, wow, okay, good effort. I got good effort a whole lot." Michael was just born with a set of skills in art that I wasn't born with. And the truth is yes, you can develop some of those, but even developing some of those, I never would have been as strong as Michael. The problem with the creative is sometimes they're given a God-given gift, and they're really good at something, and they try to monetize that. And sometimes the gifts we're given, we try to monetize those. And a gift that once brought us a lot of joy, a lot of joy, we try to turn that into a job. And the reason for being there is not the why. Like the why is because I enjoy doing this, not because I want to monetize it. The second we start monetizing some of our gifts, we actually lose satisfaction in them. Something that I always remember is this research study that was done on volunteers. And so these volunteers actually volunteered for something. They were excited about doing it. They took half of them and paid them a very low wage, while the other half they kept on a volunteer basis. And then they recorded their satisfaction with their volunteer activities. Guess what happened to all of those that got paid? Almost to the person. Over time, they became burned out because the thing that they were doing for a joy, they volunteered because they wanted to do it. They monetized it and it became a job. And something about something being a job to you, something you have to do for money, seems to steal the joy from it. Never make your JOY the why. You do something. Don't make it your job. Don't try to monetize it. For the creative, it's okay to be in a career and not necessarily use all of your gifts doing that. In the career of real estate, you've got to get good at social networking and marketing. So hopefully that creative element helps you do that. But just know, if you start to not feel satisfaction with designing things and finding joy in those things, maybe it's time to not worry so much about monetizing your gift. You can keep up with the 3 Rainmakers, learn how to supercharge your profile, and learn about other things through the Steadfast Realty social sites. You can buy this book on Amazon, either Kindle or paperback, whichever you like. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you watching.